Hey there, my name is Shane Craddock, and this is the Inner Edge podcast, where I share a different take on how to lead and live a sustainable, high-performance life. Over the course of different episodes, I'm going to challenge the belief that tension, stress, and struggle are essential to success and creativity. My experience is that there's an easier way, there's a better way, and indeed there's an essential way that we need to explore for the times that we live in. So let's go ahead, let's jump in and explore. Hello there, thanks for joining me today. As I'm recording this, it's just around Christmas time. I'm talking to you from a colder than normal Ireland anyway. And I suppose Christmas in the Western world can be a time, it depends on who you are and how you look at Christmas, but certainly in terms of eating habits and drinking habits, it can be a time of overindulgence. I think for most in the Western world, the body gets tested. We can overeat, we can overdrink. Maybe we're meeting up with people, we're eating and drinking a little bit more of the richer foods than normal. And as a result, though, then there's consequences. We can maybe get more sleepy, we get tired, put on a bit of weight, a few Christmas pounds. And it does have an effect. But I wonder, have you ever considered that you might be overindulging in something else that actually could even be more serious? And I'm going to throw out today that perhaps you might be overindulging in information. Now, I do believe that most people are overindulging in information. And there's a consequence to that, which is that their inner system is being compromised. I mean, when you overindulge in food and things like alcohol, your body, your physical system, does work overtime to get itself back into some form of equilibrium. And it's an amazing thing. And for me, I think the inner system is the same. When you overindulge information, you can actually be causing and compromising your inner system in a way you don't even realize. So the point I want to put out to you today, I want to explore a little bit with you, is taking in too much data, too much information is actually a trick of the mind to stop you growing. Now, I mean, I suppose over the last 25 years, probably since I was about 23, 24, when I first realized the power of my mind through a breakdown, like ever since then, I've done a huge amount of training, lots of seminars, as an attendee, workshops. I've read so many books, videos. And the truth is that a lot of that information that I took in, things that I never realized about how my mind works and just different ways you can actually leverage your skill and your experience and your talent, whatever you have, to a different degree. Like that it all allowed major, serious progress over years. But then something interesting happened to me anyway. It is like I kind of hit a plateau. Now, part of it at the time, I think, was to do with there was certain goals that I'd set out, and I ended up achieving most of those goals. But I suppose the problem was that I didn't end up feeling the way I thought I would. It's a bit like if you've ever focused on buying a new car or something like that, that when you get it, the feeling that you kind of think you're going to have wears off pretty quickly. And after a little bit of being in this plateau, it's the only way I can describe it really as a plateau, is I kind of made this decision because I was looking at myself thinking, hang on, I'm still reading all these books about success, even about spirituality, about inner fulfillment. But I wasn't feeling what I felt I should be feeling. So I made this unusual decision to stop reading for a year. And that included articles and books. And I would have been a very heavy consumer of information, because maybe like a lot of the world, I'm kind of brought up to believe that information is power. Now, information is very useful, and certainly information can allow you to do things maybe you couldn't do before, but it's not all it's cracked up to be. And I think we're in an age now where we need to be careful and more conscious, not only of the type of information we're taking in, but also the quantity of information we're taking in. And even, dare I say, listening to podcasts, it's one of the reasons why I keep my podcasts really short, is that I don't want it to be too long form, because I just think then I'm adding to the problem. So many podcasts are so long. I mean, how many interviews do you need to listen to of a successful person how much is enough? Anyway, what happened from my experiment, the non-reading experiment for a year? Very enlightening. First of all, it was very difficult. I really struggled with staying with it, and I realized, oh, I'm addicted to this. It was kind of like a comfort blanket. It was a way of me distracting myself from perhaps applying what I had read or getting stuck into reality. And long story short, I ended up kind of being more faced with myself. But the benefit out of it was having gone, like, there was pain. On the other side of the pain, though, I ended up kind of being more here. And it brought in a kind of a realization of the value of space, of inner space now. So it's one thing to be out in nature, have space, which is great. And that does bring in more inner space. But I could be out in nature listening to a podcast, listening to a book now, and really compromise my inner space and bring in the noise of the world into my mind, keeping it busy. And then for me, and I'm wondering about you, because I see this with other people, is I think, like, why do we listen to so many things? Why do we read so much? The next book that comes out, and I mean, I'm saying this, and I'm literally at the moment finishing off my next book, thinking, okay, am I counteracting what I'm saying here? Maybe, but I suppose that's in my head, in my warped, deluded head, I am assuming I can bring a different angle to some of what's out there at the moment. But I think when you're looking to kind of get information through a book or even through a podcast or whatever way you get it, an audible book or whatever, it seems to me for a lot of people there's an underlying assumption which is causing a big problem. And that assumption is a version of, I'm missing something. Okay, I got all this, but I'm missing something. And I think that's worth considering, not to write it off straight away anyway. And I think what I realized in my experiment was that information is massively valuable. It is. There's no doubt about it. But having too much information can be a problem. And then because I definitely had too much information, or I was consuming too much information, and what I was doing was ignoring the most valuable source of information available to me, which is my own intelligence, my own wisdom. You might call it intuition. And when we keep so busy doing things, listening to things, reading things, consuming things, honestly, what I see is that we're blocking our own natural intelligence. We're blocking us just being here, creating some inner space. And that inner space is always a catalyst for bringing your own wisdom to kick in. Now, I'm going to give a little plug on something which I'm excited to announce now. It's been a few months in the making, and it's going to be kicking off in early 2023. It's a unique collaboration with somebody who has spent hundreds of hours interviewing the brightest and the best entrepreneurs around. His name is Gary Fox. He hosts a leading independent podcast, a business podcast, with those interviews. It's called The Entrepreneur Experiment. And myself and Gary have designed a new version of my own program, MindShift. We're calling it MindShift, the Entrepreneur Experiment Edition. And it's going to be specifically about, I suppose, I'm just realizing it now, doing what I did with my year of no reading books, which was application, get stuck in, do and test myself with what I think I know. So MindShift is a very practical, down and dirty, let's get in and really test yourself, be challenged on the inner, apply on the outer. And it's with a specific bent towards the entrepreneurial mindset. We will be sharing through a virtual experience. Mostly, there'll be a little of in-person as well. There was a chance to meet Gary and myself, and we'll have some private conversations around that. We'll have a way to tap people in if they want to kind of stream in from anywhere in the world they wish. Anyway, I'm not going to go on too much more about it. There will be a link to a registration page for people interested. We're going to give anybody registered on that first access from early January for about a week ahead of the public. Anyway, that's it. It's MindShift, the Entrepreneur Experiment. I'm very excited about it. I think anybody comes along will get great results out of it. And it's not just about succeeding in whatever business venture you might have. It's about also having a life. having that balance, being able to actually enjoy your life. Too many business people, I think, sacrifice that, lose that. We're limited to 22 people. The details will be in the show notes. Whatever podcast you're watching, this will be a link to that. So, and I'm going to mention it again, probably every now and again over the next few weeks. So, going back to where we started in terms of information overload, a couple of questions for you. Are your results matching up to your expectations in different areas of your life? If they're not, I would ask you to make yourself look in the direction of information. Like, how hungry are you information? What are your habits? Look at your behavior. Is there a kind of relentless listening to podcasts, books, articles, trying to find the latest thing, the new thing, the secret thing? One of my favorite tools for myself with my inner voice is called STFU. It's shut the F up. I won't say the full word because this is a family-friendly broadcast, but STFU, shut the F up on my mind. When it comes to, I must read this, I must read that, it's just impossible to keep up. So I think finding your right source of information, the more you do that with a team, you do that with people around you, but then you got to ask yourself, how much inner space am I allowing myself to digest and process even the information that I have, and just create space for those little intuitive eureka aha moments to bubble up, because they are there. But most people's minds are so busy, not just with work and life, but then, okay, like, what do I need to listen to even just to entertain myself, distract? And there's a continuous temptation. I often think it's, maybe the best approach, well, certainly for me, is a bit more like Goldilocks, with the porridge. Like, I don't want it too cold, I don't want it too hot, I just want it just right. And with information, I think what I realized was maybe not too little, maybe not too much, just right. And I have to figure out, no more than you do, what is that right balance? Because think about it, if information was the answer, we'd all be millionaires, we'd all be super healthy, energetic, and happy. But that's not really the case. And we've never had more information available to us ever in the history of our planet. So surely something is missing. So hopefully today, maybe you got some food for thought, because bottom line, I think we need to treat information like food, and a balanced approach is definitely best. That's all for this week. Ciao for now.